Friday. Okay, so this coming Friday. Okay. And somebody else is going to proctor the quiz. I will not be here. They all multiple choice questions. There are 12 multiple choice questions. Okay, I want to talk about those multiple choice questions first before I want to what I want to talk about for today. It covers chapter 6, 7, and 8, 3 chapters. Okay. Start with chapter 6. Okay. For chapter 6, so first you need to know the two components in that consumption model. Okay, one is budget line. Okay. One is budget line. You need to know the mathematical equation for the budget line. Okay, so budget line looks like this. Here represent y, number y good you buy. This represent number x good you buy. Okay, and the budget line represent the different combinations you're able to purchase these two goods when you spend all your money. Okay, so mathematically this budget line is represented by this. So you need to know how to use this. Okay, for example, I'm just give you kind of hint what kind of question you are expecting from the quiz. Okay, if I give you a number here, give you a number here, all right, and I give you the income. Okay. I also give you a number here. You know, both these 2 points are going to satisfy this equation, right? So in the multiple choice question, I may ask you, okay, what is the price of PX? What's the price of this one? Write down this question, work at home. Okay, so you're given 2 points, the value of 2 points, and also you're given the income, and you'll be asked what's the price of these 2 goods. So what you need to do is you're going to utilize this equation here. Okay, write down this question or make up some other question yourself, and change the numbers and solve this. Okay. And then you need to know, okay, what's the slope of the budget line? Yeah, the slope of the budget line. Okay, also the indifference curve. Okay, what is indifference curve? Y, this is X. Looks like that. You may be asked what's the definition of the indifference curve. Okay. You may also be asked, okay, if I take a point here A, this is a B, and this is a C, how would you rank the individual's utility at these 3 points? Okay, basically, you need to understand the meaning of the indifference curve. Also, there you may see the question like this, okay? Give your budget line. Or, just describe in words. The price of good Y increases. The price of good Y increases, while the other parameters remain the same. How the budget line shift? So when PY increases, how the budget line shift? When PX increases, how the budget line shift? When the income increases, how does the budget line shift? Those kind of questions. and in that chapter, we talk about two different effects, substitution effect and income effects. Okay, substitution effect and income. And we talk about these two effects in three different kind of market. One is in the when the consumer make a decision on how many good wine and ask to purchase, there's a substitution effect and income effect. And you need to understand the difference of these two. What does it mean if I say substitution effect dominates income effect when price of Y increases? Okay, so ask yourself this question. When PY increases, what does it mean if substitution effects dominates income effect? Okay, so first you have to know what the meaning of substitution effect, what the meaning of income effect, right? So that's the income effect, substitution effect in this kind of decision. Then we talk about you guys have another decision you have to make is in the labor market. Okay, in the labor market, you need to decide based on the wage rate offered how many hours you would like to work per week. And then there is income effect and substitution effect. Again, what does it mean if the income effect dominates? What does it mean if the substitution effect dominates in the labor market? You will see the multiple choice question on that. And the third kind of substitution and income effect is in the capital market. When you decide to invest your money, okay, earn interest rate, or save your money for future child education expense, okay, what does it mean income effect dominates? What does it mean substitution effect dominates? Basically, understand the meaning of those effects. And so there's no calculation on this, it's just multiple choice question. But you do need to be very clear the difference of those two. So those are the questions you will see from chapter 6. Okay? And from chapter 7, okay, from chapter 7. And first you need to know this graph here. Which one is APL? Which one is MPL? And which curve represent MPL, marginal product labor, and which one represent average product labor? Okay. You need to know the relationship of this. Why? Because you'll be asked the question, okay, when APL is increasing, what's the relationship between MPL and APL? And if MPL is lower than APL, and whether APL is decreasing or increasing, those kind of questions. To answer those kind of questions, you need to remember this graph. Once you draw this graph, and you can take a look at the options in the multiple choice question and see whether each one is correct based on the graph. So that's one thing you will see. All right, so that's one graph you need question.
Average product of labor isn't higher than marginal?
Average product labor isn't higher.
I'm saying, is it? That's what I got in my notes.
It's sometimes it's higher, sometimes it's lower. Sometimes it's higher, sometimes lower. So it's not always, okay? All right, so another relationship you have to remember is we learned in chapter 8, and that's the cost function. It's something we did the last class. So this is another relationship you have to remember. And the marginal cost curve is going to cross the lowest point of the both ATC and AVC. Again, you'll be asked the question on, okay, so if ATC is increasing, what's the relationship between ATC and MC? All right, so then you'll be given this graph, and you will be given a lot of numbers along the y-axis and x-axis, and you will be asked like the question we studied or we went over, okay? And we'll be asked, okay, what is total cost? What is total variable cost? And you may also be asked question, what is total fixed cost? And they all have to base on the formula, right? What's the formula? Total cost is equal to average total cost multiply Q. Total variable cost is equal to average variable cost multiply Q. And the total fixed cost is average fixed cost multiply Q. So you use those formula, you look at what's available there, and to answer those questions. Is everyone more clear what I'm talking about? Yes? Okay. And then you'll be asked the question, okay, what is the optimal output? In order to answer that question, what additional information you have to have there? Optimal output. You have to have the price. The price has to be given. So in another graph, you will be given a price, and you will be asked, what is the optimal output? And there, you will be asked, okay, what is the operating profit? What is economic profit? Is this firm is going to run in the short run? And is this firm is going to run in the long run? Okay, those kind of questions. And also at the beginning of the chapter 6, we talk about the normal rate of return. Anybody remember that? Normal rate of return? When the firm is making a normal rate of return, what's the implication on the economic profit?
Zero.
Economic profit is zero when the firm is making a normal rate of return. So if I give you a graph and the price that this firm is making zero economic profit, then you can conclude that this firm is making a normal rate of return. Vice versa. If I'm telling you this firm is making normal rate of return, you know the economic profit has to be equal to zero.
No, what?
More rate of return.
Let me repeat. Okay, let me repeat. If I'm telling you the firm is making normal rate of return, then you can conclude that this firm's economic profit equal to zero. And vice versa. If I'm telling you this firm's economic profit is zero, then this firm is making a normal rate of return. Okay. All right, so I think that's all I want to talk about this quiz. And again, I don't think it's hard. Of course, I never think the quiz or exam hard, right? The teacher never think. But you do need to study. Okay, what I mentioned there, you don't need to go over the lecture notes. The best way to study is go over the lecture notes, because I give questions based on my lecture. Okay, go over those and understand the graphing question, understand those definitions. And so you do need to spend time to study, okay, and before Friday. It's only easy to you if you have studied it, because if you have not studied it, it will not be easy. All right, any other question?
We do a brief recap of the average total cost, average fixed cost, and average variable cost equations, if they're gonna be on the quiz. Since that was part of it.
Yeah, you would need to know the formula to calculate the total cost, total variable cost, and total fixed cost. Okay, so the total cost is equal to the sum of the total variable cost and total fixed cost. And also there's another way to calculate is use the average total cost multiplied. So you don't need to know those formulas. Yeah. Any other questions? So it's Friday. Yeah, it's Friday. Count how many people here. All right, so okay, let's continue. Okay, we're almost to finish chapter 8. Okay, we're almost to finish chapter 8. So let's review what we learned in the last class. Okay. This represents the characteristics of a form. If I give you a price, it's right here. How do we find the optimal output?
It's where the price meets with ATC.
Price
Is it MC?
MC.
Oh, yeah.
P equal to MC. Yeah, P equal to MC. So remember the profit maximizing rule is P equal to MC. Okay, so write down this next to your exam question. You know that's the one you're going to use. P equal to MC. MC is right here, and P is right here, and that's where they meet. And you know this is Q, optimal Q star is going to produce, right? Okay, in the last class, we talked about this price level. And then we gave a name for this price level. It's called a break-even price level. Break-even point. Yeah. And what does it mean?
Economic profit 0.
Economic profit is equal to 0 at break-even point. And it's from going to run in the short run when you at break-even point. Short run.
Yeah.
Different.
Short run.
Short one?
No, it's long one.
Short run, yes. Short run, yes. Short run, yes. Okay? Because your operating profit at this point is going to be positive. Okay? So at break-even point, you're going to run in the short run. Because your operating profit is still positive. Are you going to run in the long run?
Indifferent.
You're going to be indifferent, right? Okay. Now I'm going to pick another price. This is P2. At this price, what output you gonna produce? What is optimal output level?
At price 2.
Again, use P equal to MC, okay? The MC is right here, and this is Q2 star, right? Okay, and we also give a name for this price too, which is called
Shutdown.
the shutdown point, okay? And at shutdown point, we're gonna do in the short run and the long run?
Neither.
You're not going to. Well, in the short run, you're indifferent, right? But in the long run, definitely you're not going to do.
So is the shutdown point where Q2 star would meet with ABC, or if it's below ABC?
Below.
It's equal to or below the point.
Below it.
Is when the price meets the lowest point of ABC.
Okay.
That's shutdown point. Okay. So in this case, you're going to be indifferent in the short run, but you're not going to do it in the long run. So which means if I give you a price at here, P3, can you tell me what is optimal output level? At P equal to P3.
That's where it meets MC again. Equals.
Where is there now?
At P equal to P3, what is the optimal output?
Well, there is no optimal output, because either way you're losing money.
What is the optimal output then?
0.
0, okay? Then in this case, you cannot follow that P equal to MC anymore because it's below shutdown point, okay? Every time the price is below shutdown point, you're going to shut down your business. You're not going to operate, so you're not going to produce, okay? So make sure this. All right, so now we're going to talk about this. So you look at this, Q1 star, Q2 star. How did we derive this? We use this. Price equal to marginal cost. Did we really use the average cost curve to derive the optimal output here? When we derive the optimal output, we use this formula here, right? Did we use average cost curve to derive the optimal output at all here? Did we use it? Not really. Unless it's, so, I can just do this for the time being. Actually, this is pretty much enough for us to derive the optimal output. As long as we know the marginal cost curve and we know the price level, and that's only the two things we need to derive the optimal output, right? Unless it's really, really low, lower than this, then we do need to know where's the lowest point of ABC. But otherwise, marginal cost curve and the price level is all we need in order to derive this. Okay? So you give the price level, then we use the marginal cost curve to find output. You give another price level, I use it to find another output level. You give another different price, then I can find another output, optimal output level. So, the marginal cost curve actually describes the kind of relationship that we have learned from another curve long time ago. So this relationship that marginal cost curve describes, does it look like something we learned before?
Equilibrium point.
Point. Okay, look at this again. A price, an optimal output. Another price, another optimal output. So that's what the marginal cost curve give us. Have you learned the relationship before that is between the price and output? What is that curve? A price, output, or quantity.
Demand.
Quantity what?
PPS.
Demand.
You're gonna try everyone, eventually you're gonna get it, right?
Difference there.
Quantity provided, quantity supplied, right? Market price, quantity supplied. Another different market price, another different quantity supplied. What is that?
Supply
Supply
curve.
curve. That's right. So at the very beginning, we talked about supply curve, but I did not tell you where does supply curve come from. And this is where supply curve come from. It comes from the marginal cost curve. Okay? But you know the supply curve does not have this hook, right? So that means not all of this marginal cost is supply, only part of it. Which part? Which part we need to cut out from the marginal cost? And why? Only part of this marginal cost will be supply. So we need to cut out the part.
The one between 2 points.
That's a very important part. You want to cut that part. Got it.
Below,
Below where?
right there. Yeah,
Why?
because.
Why need we cut this part here?
Huh?
Why need we need to cut out this part?
Because it's below the price, below the shutdown point.
That's right. Because it's below the shutdown point, because after price is below this point,
Ain't
your
no
production is gonna zero.
Right.
So only this part of the marginal cost curve is supply. And that's where the supply curve comes from. So far we have finished all the discussion in the short run, actually. Okay, we have finished all the discussion on the optimal output and optimal inputs. Okay, and the only decision left so far is what? The long run. And there we're going to determine the optimal scale, how big the business should be. Okay. Okay, so let's move on to that one. That will be chapter 9. Okay, so we move on to chapter 9. Think about it. We should do a practice question. Do you guys want to do a practice question or move on to the
No, I
chapter?
got a question.
You got a question, good. Go ahead.
So the part in the middle. Man,
Shit.
I just.
Okay. Okay, so you guys want to do a practice question or you want to move on to chapter 9?
Practice.
Question.
You want to do practice?
Yeah.
Alright, I'm looking at my new version. I need the older version, so it's, you have older version? You have the new one too? Okay, who has the old one?
I think I do.
Okay, let me check your
Don't mean you have a different one.
And for the new version, if you have the new version and you take a look at the question 2.5 on page 183. On page 183. This is the one. This is the older one. Okay. For the older version, you look at page 186. page 186. And you look at question 9. And let's go over that question. Okay. But it's basically similar question, it's just numbers are different. Okay. So in that question, you are given quantity, which is output, and also you're given total cost, right? You're given the total cost and also total fixed cost. Okay, good. What I want you to do is do this, so let's just talk about it. So does everyone have a book to look? Does everyone have a book to look? Everyone has a book to look? Okay, so look at that question 9. Okay, that's question 9, right? Yeah. Okay, question 9. So you're given output, that's the first column, the first column. And then you're given total cost, second column, and you're given total fixed cost. Do you know how to find total variable cost? Use the equation. What's the equation to use?
ABC times quantity.
You have a total fixed cost, you have total fixed cost, you have total cost, and you're asked to find the total variable cost.
Yeah.
What's the formula to use?
Average variable cost times quantity. That's what
You don't have average variable cost
I know,
here.
but that's
Total cost minus total fixed cost.
Yeah, total cost minus total fixed cost, right? That's how you find the total variable cost. Okay, so once you find total variable cost, how do you find the average variable cost?
Oh, wait.
So why don't you go ahead and do this calculation?
This divided by that.
It's this divided by that, that's right. It's total variable cost divided by output divided by Q.
And where did you say that was? TVC.
TC minus TF. TC minus TFC.
I think I have that written somewhere.
So it was TBC divided by Q.
That's right. Let's give it, let me take a look at this. So this is belongs to a serious questions. So let's early on. Okay, for the rest of you who has the older version, I want you to calculate the total variable cost and average variable cost right now, okay?
So I added. You said added.
No, I said calculate total variable cost and average variable cost. Okay, so now for this question, I think you have to look at 2.1. We have to read that paragraph, decide what is total fixed cost there. Okay, that's why this new word is harder.
Okay, so you find TBC by TFC times TC.
TC from TFC.
Okay.
TBC.
What was it again? Yeah.
what made that?
Yeah. I'm gonna send it to you.
You have to go back to the page 172, take a look at, read that as well. But don't worry about it, it's too much. Just
Yeah, if you can.
Okay, so to find, wait. My bad. There's using for ABC. I divide. Oh, we got the formulas right here.
so which one you
That.
looking? Which one you looking?
How about that?
You got that, right? Yeah, then you find this, that, you want that, right? Yeah. You guys know how to do these two columns? If you finish these two columns, and I want you to do the marginal cost column. That is relatively simple. You guys do not have book? You using the okay. Wait, marginal cost column.
That's it, maybe. Ideas. I'm trying.
I did Latin.
You said TVC was TC minus total fixed cost.
Yeah.
Okay, you said like that, right?
Yeah. Find the marginal cost. So if you find the average variable cost, find the marginal cost. ABC divided by this divided by that is equal to this.
What are we working on? Like, what do we gotta find? They said so what I'm doing this time, we said it's actually interested by the.
Not during the test, but, yeah.
Oh, no, it's not during the test.
You can use a calculator during the test.
I have a calculator.
Wait, 5.
Find the ABC now? Or you're still working on it?
I'm working on ABC, yeah.
You're working on ABC now?
Total
What are you trying to find?
change in total cost.
So you do 30 divided by 30 divided by Q.
And you want us to do marginal cost?
Yeah, I want you to do the marginal cost.
So that would be PVC divided by quantity.
That's what I got.
Change. Yeah, change total cost. Yeah, the change.
Change of the total cost, or change of total variable cost, or the change of quantity. What's the change of the quantity from 0 to 1? From 1 to 2? So you know when you divide that, the change of quantity is always 1, right? So the only thing you need to find is the change of total cost, or the change of total variable cost. And which you already have there. You already have total cost column, you already have total variable cost column, you just find the difference. Just find difference, right?
I have a quick question.
Sure.
So defining the change, like, if we were to find the marginal cost
So you just did all that to
for
figure out that it was
Q1,
just the number that you start with.
change between Q0
So,
Yeah, that's it. That's the change of the total cost.
What you're doing
That's
is
30.
taking your total cost.
which is
That's right.
Start over.
For Steve, question?
I don't. You can, this one.
What's the point of having that one? I guess it's different. You have different
Divide
numbers.
If you have
by-
different numbers, you can, but you, these numbers.
All the same.
So then,
Let's figure out the marginal cost column here.
Yeah.
Change of total cost divided by change of quantity, which is equal to 1.
that's all 100.
13.
I'm just running to the first.
yeah, but I'm saying it's all of them.
Isn't that what you said? Isn't that what you said?
She has 15, but she said it's all of them. How you find, MC? How you find MC?
How do we find MC? MC is the change of the total cost divided by the change of the quantity.
Oh, it's that thing right here.
You have the total cost column, right? You know what the total cost? You can find the change of total cost. Divide by change of.
Divided by one.
From the change in total cost.
Is divided by one.
Divided by change, by what, that's right, it's called change of quantity. It's equal to one.
Change of the cost. Total cost. Yeah.
Divided by 1.
Which one of them has an answer not, and then whole
Oh, so like between 0 and 1.
Yeah.
So 30. And then right here between like that. Sounds terrible.
But you do need to understand why we do that. So if I change it a little bit later on, change it, it's still not gonna work. So you see?
Okay, so,
My pillow blanket, my bathroom pillow blanket. I was like,
this one, you go with 0, or so that's marginal cost.
Change of total cost, which is equal to what?
yes, I thought it was 30.
Oh, so it's like this thing right here.
Yes, that's right.
Okay.
From this to this, change of total cost is 30, divided by the change of quantity, which is 1, and that is equal to
I ain't got it.
30.
So it's gonna be the same as this.
No, it's not gonna be the same. Maybe this one is same, but the rest of it should not be the same.
Because the quantity.
That's coincidence.
So when the quantity changes, I'm gonna be divided by. So like for the next one.
Oh, okay, so it's gonna be 20.
No, the change of quantity is still equal to
Do-
because you're changing from 1 to 2. The next time you're changing from 2 to 3. The next time from 3 to 4. So the change of quantity is always 1.
Okay.
Okay?
But the difference between
The change of the output is from this one is 30, from this one is 20, from this one is 10, from this one is
12.
yeah. See?
Okay, so this is gonna be
It's like, okay, so we're dividing it by
20.
number 2 is gonna be 20.
From 130, no, from 130.
So do you understand the principle behind it?
You said on the quiz it was 15 multiple choice. And then the rest is what?
Same as the
Other
first
like
time.
seven? Or is it all multiple?
Just 12.
Oh, okay,
The MC.
okay.
They'll just change in TVs and TVs. Change in TC. So it goes from 100 to 130, change in TC. Change in quantity.
Huh?
The quantity only goes up by 1.
That's
So
find the marginal cost.
Okay, alright.
Alright, so if you find the marginal cost,
Okay, so
one of the question is,
there's nothing.
give you a market price. What's the market price they give to
From
you?
130.
the market price? No, it's 20. That one's
I don't know because I don't have that version. 30? When the market price equals $30, they ask you what is the optimal output.
20.
How do you find the optimal output? What's the formula to use? You see? Because you draw it, you asked me that question last class, you always remember this formula, right? P equal to MC, right? P equal to MC. We use that to find optimal output.
4.
Do I have the value for MC?
So price equals
Do I have the
cost.
market price? Yes. So tell me, what is the optimal output? Market price is equal to 30. Now you have the value for the MC.
Changing line is always going to be more.
Who's gonna be in there?
0, 1, 2, 3,
You said all those, all two,
That's good, you got it.
Yeah, so it's gonna be. Like, it's not.
Yeah, you don't need price of you just need the marginal cost. You just need the marginal cost and price to find optimal output.
Which marginal cost do you use?
That's what I'm asking. Which marginal cost you need to use?
Divided by 1.
How many values do you have there?
By one, like,
A lot of values, right? What's the formula?
oh,
What's the formula telling you? What's the formula to find optimal output?
P equals MC.
Tell them
P equal MC.
P equal to MC, right? P equal to MC. We have the P. We have the price. Then
So
we
it's
have
not gonna be like two of them.
there are two values in the marginal cost column that is equal to 30, right? Which one to use? Which one to use?
1 and 7.
Can you make sure I do this part right?
You have two 30s and you're right.
Okay, so now, what's the next thing?
Optimal output. Optimal output. The Q star thing.
Okay, so that's P equals MC, right?
That's the prices?
There's two 30s, right? So market price is market price is 30, right?
Yes.
Market price is 30, so we do have to find marginal cost that is equal to 30 based on that formula, right? P equal to 30. So do we have a marginal cost that's equal to 30?
Yes.
Two of them.
It's 2 of them.
Okay, it's two of them. Tell me what is this two? When Q equal to what?
1 and 7.
Huh?
Q
1 and 7.
1 and Q equal to 7.
Do it then.
What will be your guess? Which one?
7
Why?
is
That's a good
there's
guess.
more.
That is good guess. And why?
This is optimal. Like you're
size.
producing.
more.
That is good. That is good. But I want to ask you why this is correct. This is not correct. This is one, but this is not. But why we choosing this?
But your output is more.
Yeah, this
Why is more? Why? Using the graph. Using the graph to answer the question.
Because your average total cost is lower.
Hmm?
It's because your average total cost is lower. That's why you use 7.
It is.
Well, yeah, it is.
I mean, it is lower.
Honestly, it's here. Who can answer that question? If I point it out, you say, oh, that's it.
If it was on the graph, would it be?
It's on the graph.
It'd be P1, right?
But you
So-
see,
so
we
P-
talk about there's a hook.
BP2.
This marginal cost curve has the hook. What does it mean? There is a decreasing trend, then there is increasing. Tell me, so far, all this optimal output is on increasing part or decreasing part of marginal cost curve?
Increasing.
No,
Decreasing. But Q1 is.
We just talked about, this is a part of the
Support.
point that we were going to produce, right? This is on increasing part of marginal cost or on the decreasing part of marginal cost curve?
Increases.
Increasing.
Increase. You guys there? You guys getting there?
so what do you mean at that point, that number is below the shutdown?
Wait to pack. The box is going to here packing some.
You write it down?
I'm going to tell you what this one is, okay? Just take me a second. Marginal cost curve is a hook like that, right? This is, let's say, it's the lowest point of the ABC. We know only this part we're gonna produce, right? Okay. Then the price right now. This $30 meet marginal cost here and here. This is 1, and this is 7. We only take this 7 because this is the point that is right on this part of the marginal cost. Yeah. If you look at the number here, 30, 20, 10, you see that? It is decreasing. So this Q equal to 1 is still on that decreasing trend. And then after the 10, and start increasing. That's why the optimal output should always on the increasing part of marginal cost. And that's why.
So that's the hook.
Yeah, so the hook part, we cannot. Okay, so contemplate on this question.
I like it.
Okay, good. All right, so Friday, 1:20, okay, don't be late. Okay, 1:20.